We know now that before Tory got stabbed, something was already in motion, including rumors of a so-called prison deal and rising tensions behind bars. Tory is now breathing on his own, and just yesterday, he was moved out of the hospital and sent back to prison. But just a few days back, this man was stabbed 14 times, had collapsed lungs, was on breathing machines. Since then, we had a prison tipster come out and give us his 2 cents on what he saw went down that day when Tory got caught between a rock and a hard place. The tipster said that early that morning his cell door opened, and when he stepped out, another inmate, Santino Casio, was already waiting. As you found out a few days ago, Santino is the guy who stabbed Tory. Now, according to the tipster, Santino pulled him aside and told him straight up that he was about to stab Tory. When he asked why, Santino said Tory had been acting out of line and that he warned him before. A few moments later, Tory's door opened, and that's when Santino ran up on him and started stabbing him.
That fool's door opens, that fool turns out, and then that fool runs up on him, and that fool starts stabbing that fool. But you can just tell that fool got his lungs punctured because he was laying on the ground.
The tipster said it was clear Tory got caught off guard. He was laid out on the floor, begging for him to stop. He was coughing up blood, struggling to breathe. It was a brutal scene. Even Wack 100 chimed in, saying he saw footage of the attack and confirmed that Santino had Tory by the hoodie and just kept jabbing him, suggesting the attacker had full control during the assault. Coming back to the story, the tipster also pushed back on all the rumors about retaliation or debt being involved. He said if anyone wanted revenge, it would have happened right then and there. And Tory doesn't owe money to anyone, so it's unlikely that would be the reason why this thing happened. The tipster kept it 100 and said that one guy apparently tried to jump in, but the inmate warned him not to, saying it would have triggered a full-blown riot with the Mexican inmates. The tipster also clarified there weren't any visitations that day and didn't hear anything about Tory owing money. He also mentioned he was the porter that day, which means he was the one who had to clean up the aftermath, literally mopping up Tory's blood. He thought the whole thing was insane, especially with all the false stories floating around. He ended by saying, Tory was stabbed 14 times, his lungs collapsed, and it was a miracle he even survived. So what do we make of this story? Well, it's a lot of details about the incident itself, but we still have no idea why it happened. Authorities haven't confirmed if it was something personal, if there was tension between them, or even if they had any kind of relationship before the incident. What we do know is that Casio has a violent history and has been involved in previous assaults and weapon-related issues while incarcerated. He's currently being held in restricted housing while the investigation continues. Bottom line, the motive behind the stabbing hasn't been released, so any theories floating around about Tory's attitude triggering the attack aren't backed by actual evidence. Until investigators share more, the real reason is still up in the air. Now, as details about this violent attack and Lanez's original conviction continue to circulate, many are revisiting the questions that have followed his case from the start, especially the claim that his DNA wasn't even on the weapon.
Turns out that DNA, only a 0.01% chance that the DNA is from Lanez. He's always maintained his innocence.
What's wild about Tory's is that after all this time, we're still not 100% convinced that Tory did it. And it makes perfect sense. If you're really curious and skeptical about this whole mess, then that energy should be active for every part of the investigation. It's weird how some pick and choose what to believe based on convenience. It feels odd that the bodyguard involved in the case would only come forward now. One could argue he felt bad after Tory got stabbed 14 times and his lungs collapsed.
Mr. James informed Unite the People that he was witness to the conversation Ms. Harris had where she stated she had the gun, she fired it 3 times. In essence, Mr. Peterson never shot anybody.
This makes you wonder why the bodyguard is coming out now to say Kelsey shot Megan. Why didn't he say that earlier? When Tory was free and people were still questioning, the bodyguard was out here saying Kelsey never shot Megan. That's a big inconsistency. People try to bring up that phone call Tory made from jail, where he sounded apologetic, but he never actually said sorry for shooting anyone. Maybe he was just caught up in the moment or scared. Either way, that doesn't confirm guilt or innocence. It could be the bodyguard is just feeling bad about Tory's stabbing and decided to shift the narrative to protect him. Or maybe there's more. We don't know yet. What we do know is that he's got people outside fighting for his innocence, and they seem to have hard evidence. Such is the case with Anna Paulina Luna.
Not to mention there are 0 fingerprints on the actual magazine, and also too, as you said, 0.01% chance. I mean, that evidence in itself should pretty much speak for itself.
This congresswoman is stepping into the ring. She's actively pushing for Tory Lanez to be pardoned, and she claims to have new receipts to back it up. She's been doing interviews on News Nation and sounding off on social media, saying she's seen compelling evidence that proves Tory didn't shoot Megan Thee Stallion back in 2020. So what exactly is she claiming? Luna says there's ring camera footage, as in home surveillance, that blows the prosecution's whole case apart. According to her, this footage proves that Tory never shouted at Megan and told her to dance for him before the shots were fired, which was a key part of the original narrative. To be fair, this video hasn't even been made public yet, so at this point, it's still just her word. But that's not all that she has under her belt. Luna also says forensic experts found DNA from 4 different people on the gun and the magazine, but none of those samples conclusively matched Tory. She's doubling down on that no fingerprint angle too, basically saying there's no physical evidence tying him to the weapon at all. Add to that her claim that medical records and body cam footage show Megan's injuries might have actually come from stepping on glass, not from a bullet. And to make it even messier, she's saying that key bullet fragments are missing from the evidence box. And make no mistake about, Luna isn't just talking for clout. She's taking political action. She's asking California Governor Gavin Newsom to personally review the case and issue a pardon, claiming that Tory was basically convicted based on shaky evidence and political pressure. She's also calling out the court for using Tory's lyrics against him, which she says was unfair and racially biased. And now she's pushing to get the whole case reevaluated under California's Racial Justice Act. According to her, that compelling evidence she keeps talking about, she says it's coming soon, as long as the court approves its release. She's even spoken with Tory directly in prison and is apparently working with other political figures to make this happen. So yeah, this isn't just some random internet theory. This is turning into a whole campaign. Now, of course, Megan Thee Stallion and her legal team are not here for any of it. They've shut it all the way down, saying the trial was fair, the verdict was just, and there's no new exonerating evidence. They believe this is just another attempt to confuse the public and shift attention. At the end of the day, this whole thing just keeps spiraling into more chaos, and we can't say with confidence what will happen in the end. If we're gonna keep it a buck, we still have to say that the whole thing about Kelsey confessing to shooting Megan 3 times is just hearsay at this point. Plus, how did this extra security guard just pop up to witness this supposed confession? It's fishy. Honestly, if Tory didn't do it, then the case is full of irregularities and contradictions that don't make sense. And the idea that Kelsey got immunity just to get out of trouble? Nah, that's not how the law works. People are out here misunderstanding legal stuff and spreading misinformation. Honestly, it feels like a lot of the public is being gaslighted. The unknown DNA on the gun? Turns out there were just too many fingerprints to be conclusive. Plus, why wasn't the driver's DNA taken? It's like they're just grasping at straws trying to create doubt without solid evidence. The sad part? All this drama is overshadowing Megan's music and career. Every few months, new evidence or rumors pop up, and suddenly the music talk disappears. It's exhausting, and it's like Tory and his people are successfully keeping the focus on the case instead of moving on. If Tory is innocent, this is the worst way to clear his name. Regardless, we can't pass on without mentioning Wack 100, because this dude has been on Tory's side for a long time. Wack stood by Tory from the beginning, and now, with the prison assault making headlines, people are revisiting older claims, like when Tory's security said Tory never held or fired the weapon and pointed the finger at Kelsey instead. There's even a clip from 2023 where someone named Hannah claimed Kelsey was actually the one who shot Megan Thee Stallion by accident. Wack claims there's actual video evidence that proves Tory's innocence, allegedly filmed by an Asian girl who was there when everything went down.
What is the video of? Is it of the
From the time the argument started, to the car driving off, to the time it stopped, to everybody getting out, what everybody was doing, who did what, when it happened, how it happened.
He insists this video clearly shows what really happened and would completely flip the narrative. But according to him, The district attorney suppressed it. He says this footage would not only clear Tory, but directly implicate Kelsey Harris. Of course, the video hasn't been seen by the public, and legal experts are very skeptical, pointing out that any real exculpatory evidence would have had to be turned over by law. Wack's been pushing this angle for a long time, going as far back as 2021. He's questioned everything from Megan's injuries to the timeline of events. One of his main talking points? Megan was out walking and performing soon after the incident, something he says doesn't match up with the story of her being shot in the foot. He's been consistent in interviews, clubhouse chats, and even on DJ Vlad's platform, claiming that this mysterious video, if it ever surfaced, would end Megan's career and finally free Tory.
Tory coming home.
You've been saying that.
A lot of things in that appeal.
Okay.
He's also weighed in heavy on the forensic side. Wack has pointed out the lack of Tory's DNA on the weapon and the fact that gunshot residue was found on both Tory and Kelsey, but only Tory was further tested. To him, that smells like a cover-up or, at the very least, lazy police work. He's also criticized the justice system, especially in debates like the one he had with Adam 22, saying the investigation never really gave Kelsey the same scrutiny Tory faced. Fast forward to 2025, and Wack 100 is still talking. With new claims popping up and people re-evaluating the case, he's been speculating that Tory might get released, or that the case could be cracked wide open. He's hinting that if this conviction gets overturned, it could have huge implications for how these high-profile celebrity trials are handled moving forward. But here's the thing. Despite all his passion and speculation, there's still no verified evidence of that video. No proof that Kelsey pulled the trigger. No bombshell leak. The legal system still holds Tory responsible, even though his team is working overtime with appeals and political advocacy. So while Wack's version of events has kept him in the headlines, until someone drops that supposed footage, it all remains just that. Talk. And if we're going to be honest and look at both sides of the story, we have to talk about what Megan's team has to say about all this new evidence. Megan and her lawyers are flat out rejecting Luna's talk of new evidence that would clear Tory's name. In a detailed 31-page memo, Megan's attorneys say there's nothing new here. No secret witnesses, no unseen ring footage, no game-changing forensics. They stress that the doorbell video Luna keeps mentioning was shown at trial and did nothing to help Tory then, so it can't magically help him now. Megan's lead lawyer, Alex Spiro, points out the jury conviction rested on what he calls overwhelming proof, including Lanez's own words, and he labels the current media push misleading and harmful. Megan herself echoed that on social, venting that she's tired of being forced to relive the shooting. In her post, she reminded everyone that the court already decided. Tory shot her. The evidence was laid out, and nothing being floated today changes those facts. Her team also brushed off any idea that this is political theater. They say this is simply a violent crime case that's already been judged in a courtroom, not on social media or Capitol Hill. Bottom line, Megan and her lawyers insist every relevant piece of evidence was heard at trial, the conviction stands on solid ground, and they want the rumor mill to stop. So what do we have coming up in this case? Here's what we know. Tory's legal team has filed multiple appeals, including a direct appeal, a habeas petition, and a successive habeas petition. These have been consolidated by the California Court of Appeals, indicating that the court is reviewing the case for potential legal errors or new evidence that could impact the conviction. High-profile figures, including Drake, have called for Lanez's pardon. Drake shared a Change.org petition urging Gavin Newsom to pardon Lanez, citing prosecutorial misconduct and missing forensic evidence. The petition has garnered significant public support. This wasn't even his first time siding with Tory. Remember back in 2022 when he dropped that song Circo Loco with 21 Savage? People were side-eyeing that one hard because he basically implied Megan was lying about getting shot. Megan clapped back fast, accusing him of making a joke out of her trauma just for some quick controversy. But Drake kept that same energy. He's still out here liking posts that boost new claims in Tory's favor. Then, you've got Kanye West chiming in too. He also showed love to the petition. He might not have gone on a social media rant like usual, but his name carries weight, and him co-signing that movement gave it even more momentum. It's not just those two either. 50 Cent and Iggy Azalea have both been vocal throughout Tory's trial and sentencing. 50 was out here cracking jokes and posting memes that painted Megan in a shady light. And Iggy? Sis went as far as writing a letter to the judge before sentencing, basically begging for leniency on Tory's behalf. Now, because of all these high-profile endorsements, the petition for Tory's release has taken off, like hundreds of thousands of signatures. This thing's gaining traction in a serious way. But while Tory's camp is celebrating, Megan's over it. She's been speaking out, making it crystal clear that this constant support for her shooter is traumatizing. She says people are spreading lies, calling it misinformation that's hurting her all over again. And she's standing firm. Tory was convicted in a real courtroom with real evidence, not internet rumors, not influencer speculation. The facts were already presented, and the jury made their call. So at this point, it's turning into another trial. Just this time, it's playing out on social media instead of in court. And if this keeps heating up the way it has been, we're in for even more drama in the coming weeks. You know how it goes. This story is far from over. Despite the controversy, though, Megan is scheduled to appear at DreamCon, a pop culture convention in Houston from May 30th to June 1st, 2025. The event organizers issued a public apology after their social media accounts liked negative comments about Megan, reaffirming their support for her participation. In the near future, the focus will likely be on the outcomes of Tory's appeals and any decisions regarding the alleged new evidence. Additionally, public discourse and advocacy efforts may influence the case's trajectory, while Megan continues to address the ongoing challenges stemming from the incident. In the end, we want to hear what you make of this whole situation. Is Tory coming home? Let us know what you think down below.